Oh my God, these kids are
Right. 10, 10, 10, 09, we're perfect, we're good. I'm gonna begin with, for some of you I don't know yet, some of you I literally just asked your name. And don't worry, you're not in trouble at all. Those of you that asked your name, I want to get to the point where I could really truly get to know you. And for me, this is the best way for me to actually kind of learn and connect the dots. Just the fact of asking your name, writing it on the board, referencing, that's going to help me out as I continue to move forward working with all of you. That being said, if you don't know me prior to coming in, I'm Matt Brady. Been doing this for a while. I'll get into some of the other details because I have a fun slide that Lydia probably saw yesterday. And she's like, seriously, what's he doing with this slide? So that means I'm here today because it's spring break. Kami's out. Candy's out. A lot of other people are out. I learned last week that it was spring break for our kids. And literally, I wish I was going to somewhere fun and warm and all those things, but we were kind of like, no, it's just kind of, let's do it. So we're doing it. Okay. So moving forward, and I'm going to be doing like one meeting a month. So I'll be up here. When I do the meetings, I'm really like, let's get everybody involved. And right now, the next time I do a meeting, I would love it if you all come forward. This is amazing.
a lot.
Did someone say it happens a lot?
You're asking, keeping in mind who our TL is, we're all kind of afraid. We all literally like are all the center is never full.
Okay, I love that. When I come, there's going to be some things, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go through. But my main focus when I come on those meetings is to really kind of provide some information related to compliance, brokering, situations, just to really help move you forward, move your needle to the point where it's like, okay, it was great. I walked out today picking something up that I either didn't know or certainly will help me as I move forward. And I know it now better. Cool? All right, we're gonna go through some of these slides and then we're gonna dive into something that I'm certain we'll get some engagement from all of you and we'll have some fun with it. The bucket fills. Who's got something that they've experienced in the last week, last month, that they want to just recognize by doing a bucket fill? If any of you don't know what a bucket fill is, we'll explain that too. Anyone? Rick.
Jordan Welly did an open house for me in Eden Prairie on a Sunday and did a really good job, like door knocking the neighbors' houses and inviting them, and then provided us with a detailed kind of a summary of all the people that came through, which is extremely helpful for the client. So that was great. She did a bunch of research on the property.
Rick, thanks for sharing that. Jordan, way to go. Awesome job. Now I know that you all know each other, you've known each other, but what Rick said that I heard, just so you all know, if any of you are looking to do open houses for some other people in the office, that summary, doing the research, doing that footwork, doing that stuff, that means so much to the agents here who are ultimately having you host their open for them, their listing. You'll get more things out of it by actually doing that. So way to go. I love the sounds like the effort you put into it. That's really the opportunity. Yes.
And I'd like to thank Alex as well for that same thing. She held an open house on a Sunday, similar recap, and wrote an offer in multiple offers and won it.
Hey, that's the bucket fill.
Oh, Alex.
There you go. Good job, Alex. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, guys. Because again, that's where we're truly a team. Actually having participants from the office actually assist and help with the opens as well too. That's it. Now, since I'm now the broker here and broker in Edina, y'all can do opens for people in Edina as well too. So that's one thing that's gonna, we'll talk more about as we move forward, but something just to kind of leverage as well. All right, anybody else?
Maple Grove too?
What's that?
Are you Maple Grove?
I am not Maple Grove. Yep. So I'm just here in Edina.
And Matt, if we do opens for the agents in Edina, do we need to provide cake?
I don't know if anyone heard that on that in the room. All right. It's good. You're fine. Yeah, you're fine. Okay, one more bucket fill at least. All right.
Lydia.
Okay.
I'm not great at my commands and putting all that in there, and it's organized chaos according to other people. But she always makes me feel like I'm just
Perfect.
I love that. Way to go, Lydia. Y'all just like one clap every once in a while too, or something like that.
No.
That's good. I love what you said when it just how she makes you feel. That again, that's really cool. And we'll do one more because I think yeah, go ahead.
I would like to bucket fill April and Alex. I was out on vacation again and they took care of everything while I was gone. And April was running around showing all my clients houses and she doesn't normally do that. So yeah, thanks to them.
Very, very cool. I love that. And you said again, do you take frequent vacations?
I do.
She's gonna be coming up and joining me in a moment and say, this is how you want to model your deal. Rick.
I just have to do this one. This is, so I reached out to our new broker because I had some serious questions. I had a client, new listing that we signed yesterday. She finally signed yesterday at 1.95 in Wayzata.
Good.
And it was complicated because her attorney reviewed it and sent a list of like 8 different things. So I reached out to Mr. Brady here and asked him some advice. And the best advice that I got in going through the questions was, you know, just reach out to her directly, be bold enough to just reach out to her directly and talk through some of this stuff after, you know, we answered the questions. And it was about like a 7-minute conversation that changed everything, you know, a couple of days ago, and then eventually finally she signed. So good.
Love it. Great work. Awesome. Great job. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right. So I don't need to read that. Y'all can read it.
And just to preface this, none of us are gonna be in town. So if you're like, oh, it's Friday, they're closed, but I'm just gonna text them, we're not available. So don't text us. We'll all be out of town.
Exactly. See, now, later we're gonna talk about something with going to number 10. Lydia just went to 10. And again, right there saying, they are not around, clearly. So I think it was the weekend, right? Yeah, good. Love it. Awesome. Wonderful. All right. Okay. Now, who can talk about this slide better than I can? And all I'm really saying is I want somebody else to volunteer to talk about this slide. And what I'm doing is now some of you are actually reading this slide. What's going on? Has anybody signed up for this? April 23rd. Okay. So again, this is Brett's going to be in. I mean, I don't know Brett specifically one-to-one. I know of Brett. I've been around Brett. I've seen things that Brett's done. It'll be good. So again, some things that we're going to talk about later is really about your commitment to actually getting better, learning, working your business, doing those things. This may be something you want to consider. I believe it's in Maple Grove at the training center.
Yes.
Okay.
And as of Friday, I believe there's only 10 tickets left. So
Okay.
if you've been thinking about it, pull the trigger and get your ticket.
Yeah, exactly right, Lydia. Very, very cool. Okay, next. Oh my God, we're already to meet? Can't stall anymore. I stalled for the first 10 minutes before people got here. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a couple of different things. One, you're gonna get to know me a little bit more because I really want you to get to the point where you're comfortable, like Rick is, to call me. And then we talk through some things, whether it be something, a situation you're in, or you're just looking for strategy, you're looking for some of those different things. You're gonna learn a little bit about me through a couple of things I have set up. And then I want to get to know more about you as well. And like I said, those of you that I wrote your name down, I'm not going to forget your name now moving forward because I'll reference this as I can remember where you sat in the whole bit. But again, compliance broker as well as broker of record now. So broker of record, what that means, many of you have been here when Jim Camarado was broker of record. You've been here when Kevin's broker of record. But ultimately, if you get into any type of legal situation right now, you're going to call me and we're going to work through it, talk through it, and go from there. One of the things I talk often about is intention. If your intention was actually working to do the right thing, I will tell you, I can't guarantee it, but I will tell you, we're going to be going down the path of being okay because your intention was doing something that was actually okay. Now, we're all human. Trust me. I learn as much probably from you as I may actually share and give to you. So I'm learning every day as well, too. But if your intention was that of actually doing the right thing and you actually just made a mishap or made a mistake, that's okay. We can actually all learn from that. So let's dive in to what we're going to talk about today. This is what we're going to talk about today. Okay. We're gonna talk about money, sex, religion, kids, and commitment. Did I hear a wow? All right. So now this is where those that didn't show up today are gonna be like, dang, I missed that. That was a good one. And I'm doing this for a reason. How many of you ask qualifying questions to that of your buyers or your sellers? Like you're qualifying them? Totally, totally. I would encourage all of you to do that. And I think you actually all do it in a way, but I'm gonna have some fun where you get to know me a little bit more right now. This happened to me 21 years ago, what you're seeing on the screen. So 21 years ago, about this time of the year, it was actually mid-March, late March. I had recently been divorced, and now I'm getting some people say, dude, you gotta go out. You gotta get back out there. And this is a time when eHarmony is happening, Match.com is happening, and I don't sign up for either of them, but I did have a buddy of mine going through this scenario. And I remember we went to a Wolves game, and before the game, there used to be a little like sports bar right next to the Wolves, kind of like in Target Field, whatever it is, Target Center. And he's like scrolling through these women. Like I go, you're just looking at curb appeal, dude. And he's just doing this. And that was before anybody swipes left or right. I don't know which one's correct. I'm setting this up to tell you. So there's this gal. I used to close with Stuart Title. And there's this gal at Stuart Title that I closed with. Her name's Kelly Gilbertson. She's no longer with Stuart Title. Kelly Gilbertson, she's amazing. But she asked me, she says, Matt, have you thought about dating again? And I was like, well, at some point, yes. I don't know. She goes, well, there's someone here I think you should meet. So Kelly introduces me to a gal named Heather. And what makes the story fun is Heather is now my wife, and she's been my wife for 18 years. But so I meet Heather kind of through Kelly on an initial quick call. And the quick call is literally just kind of what you do at that time, like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. And she's got 2 girls, I got a son. And then we move to the second call. And here comes the qualifying questions. And I was standing in my family room of my Eden Prairie house, and I'm talking to her, and I'm kind of excited because I think she's pretty. So curb appeal, she passes that. From Kelly says she's pretty cool. She's deep. And I go, okay. So I'm standing in my family room, and literally she says, okay, Matt, I just got to go here because I got to know whether or not we even do anything further. I want to know where you stand on money, sex, religion, kids, and commitment. And she said it about that fast. And I'm sitting here standing and I'm just going. And then she immediately says, she goes, what? What do you think? I'm not hearing from you. And I literally say, and I'm not a funny guy. My kids will tell you I'm not a funny guy. I literally say, I don't know. I'm stuck on number 2 because I haven't had it in a while. That's exactly what she does. And then she says to me, she says, well, I don't mean to scare you off, but actually I was in not the best relationship. I have 2 girls. And, but honestly, I need to know kind of where you're at on these. And honestly, when I did this together for today's meeting, I thought of the 135 that we prepare. Many of us have done a 135 or a GPS. And many times that one is actually, let's say, what I want to earn $100,000 this year. I want to earn $200,000 this year, something along those lines. Or I want to have 50 transactions or 35 transactions. And then we have our priorities. What amazed me about this woman when I spoke to her on that night, the second phone call, she goes, it's not just the titles of these. She goes, it's what's underneath these. It's the depth conversation in each one of these categories. So I'm too nervous to talk about sex in front of all of you, so we're not gonna. I'm not gonna talk a lot about this one, other than I will tell you, for the last 4 years, I've been a faith coach with my 17-year-old, taking these kids from 8th grade to now juniors and now next year. So every Wednesday night, that's been one of my coolest things that I've done in a long, long time. So I co-lead 25, 17-year-olds, and we talk about faith every week. Kids, I have 6 kids. The 2 that came from, we call it the yours, mine, ours, and somebody else's. They go from 30 to 7. And so Heather's 2 girls, 30 and 26, soon to be 27. Tyler, from my first marriage, 25. Joel, after we got married, 17. Jake, this is the part where we're crazy because I'm older than probably most of you. Crazy. And then we have Jake, who is about to turn 9. He's 8. And Jake is about, I'm joking when I say 6 feet tall, but he is literally 5 feet tall as an 8-year-old. And it must be in the genes, because one thing you'll walk away about me that you didn't know about, if you want to Google his name later, you can. Bernard Coyne is in my family history. Bernard Coyne was 8 feet 2 inches tall. Yep. And so Jake did this little report, and people were like, and he's like, Dad, do you think I'll become the tallest man in the world at some point? I go, no, I think right now you're pretty tall, but maybe not yet. Or maybe not that. Jake, and then Allie is our granddaughter. She's lived with us full time for 5.5 years. And she is our second daughter's daughter. And our second daughter is still kind of really battling that addiction route, that traveling road, where she hasn't quite gotten to the point where she's, on her own bearings yet. So Allie's with us, and that's our kids. So now we're going to move to the next slide, Lydia. And as we get going to the next slide, we're going to talk about two of them primarily today. Net money and commitment. But before I get into these two, I'm going to give you a little bit more about me, because Kami gave me a sheet just to say a little bit more about me. So this is going to be one of those things. One of her questions was, are you a dog or cat person? And I've been both. And I don't like this chair because it squeaks. I've been both, but I will tell you, I'm a dog person. We have 2 golden retrievers right now. They're 1.5 years old, Duke and Daisy, and they are phenomenal. They are absolutely the best dogs. And we've had dogs for a long time. I'm trying to think of what another question was. She morning or evening person or night person? I'm both. So no one else gets up with the dogs. That's kind of my role. So I'm always up real early, but sometimes I'll be a night owl as well too. Sometimes I'll go about 6 hours of sleep, and I think I'm pretty good. I do not have a ring, or I do not wear a watch, and I don't monitor my sleep. So I'm not one of those people that gets up and says, ooh, I didn't have a good night. I'm just like, I always say a prayer right before I go to bed. And I'm like, Lord, help me to just sleep with purpose tonight, no matter how many hours I get. Let's go tomorrow. And so that's a little bit more about me. There's a couple more that I'll come up with. But again, this is my number if you have a question about anything. But here's what we're going to talk about. And this is the part where we're going to look for engagement from the rest of you. Net money. And I'm going to have some fun with this one from a standpoint of just, you talked about command earlier with Lydia, and I love that. But net money, I'm just going to kind of play off of net sheet at the moment with this one, because that's net money to the seller. So what do you all do when your car is running out of gas and you got to go somewhere? What do you all do?
Don't leave.
Thank you, Jackie. What's that? Absolutely. Yeah, yep, get gas. So this is the compliance side of me that I chuckle when actually I review the documents and I see that you have a listing, you have a seller, and I see that people don't put the net sheet in there. And again, I'm surprised at some of the people that are like, man, you know that you're supposed to put the net sheet in there. Like, you know you're supposed to put gas in the car. So again, on that side specifically, when you're working with a seller, you know that you're going to need a signed net sheet. It's got to be signed from the seller, because again, if we don't have record that you had that conversation, then that's one thing that the seller can come back to us and kind of argue their point. We did win in court 2 years ago because our agent had the signed net sheet, and ultimately the seller was like, oh, okay. So again, that's important. And on the flip side, on the buy side, your compensation disclosure, that needs to be right there as well too. So on the buy side, you're working with buyers' compensation disclosure. We need to actually disclose how much we're actually earning. Seller's net sheet. Okay. Net money. Why do I want to talk about net money? So for me, for you, I want this to be worthwhile as far as you doing this, and that you're actually netting dollars. You're netting money doing this. You know your expenses, you know all of those things. So what we're going to do here first is, this is part where we're going to gauge. I get this question a lot. Matt, should I lower my commission? What do you think? Okay, no. Real quick, easy to say no. What if you haven't had a closing in 6 months and they're asking you to lower your commission? That's what I get almost all the time. Because Matt, I could really use this. I could really use this. Not my call, but they're calling me, asking me. Now, they're not calling me basically seeking approval. I think they're calling us more or less to talk about a strategy, and this is the reason why we're talking about net money. So again, on those 5 bottles we had up earlier, money and commitment, I want to help you when I want to do with this when we're going to call me sometimes. We're going to talk about literally money. And then in this case, again, no, my quick response to you is no, don't lower your commission at all, at all. The reason why? Because I see how hard you all work. I know the value of what you do. I've done it for a long time as well. And again, as soon as you lower it, it becomes almost more work and more things. And then the opportunities, you kind of like you put a little, hole in the dam a little bit. They might ask for some more things, right? So net money is really important. One that's going on right now is, this one happened over the weekend. So this is what I'll do a lot is I'll use real examples because if you haven't experienced it yet, you will. Okay, this one over the weekend. Agent calls me and the agent says, Matt, I'm working with the seller. I'm representing the buyer, but I'm working with the seller who's representing themselves. Okay. I'm working with the buyer. I wrote the offer. And now the seller just called me and they said they're taking the washer and dryer. Okay. And our agent is saying, do I have anything to stand on, Matt? And they said, well, show me the agreement. What did you write? What's not included on page 1 of the purchase agreement, lines 16 through 32, talking about personal property, what's not included in that whole section? You all know that?
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to know it today. Okay, washer and dryer is not included in there. So as a broker of compliance, looking to assist this agent, and what I'm talking about here is net money again. This is the reason why we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to flip between these two. I'm talking to this agent. What's the next document I'm looking for to see if our agent's okay? Anybody guess?
Personal property.
Thank you. Personal property. And then I'm looking there to see if they outlined it there. I love that I'm hearing that from you because basically many of you are saying that's where I'm putting washer and dryer because it's not on page 1. She does not put it on personal property. I look at her personal property. All I see is notes about the blinds and that's it. So I'm talking to this agent on the phone on Sunday and she says, do I have anything to stand on? And then she proceeds to tell me it was a multiple offer situation and my buyers went well over listing price. So I really don't want to ask my buyers for a washer and dryer. Do you see where this story's going? What's the agent going to do? Washer and dryer. Does this affect her net money? Yes. Okay. The purpose why I'm doing this now, and I'm going to come back to this, and we're going to play with this for a little bit. We're going to use some examples. But this is how my head thinks. Not to say that, I don't want to say it's right or wrong, and I'm always learning, but what I want to know from you is commitment, 1 to 10. How many of you have heard Jake Lewis talk about what number does Jake remove when he says a commitment scale of 1 to 10? What number does he remove? Does anybody know? Why do we remove 7? He said, but it's safe. It's totally safe. So I'm going to tell you right now, when I said those qualifying questions, when you're talking to a buyer, when you're talking to a seller, and your business, looking at your net money that you're going to be earning and making, if that seller or buyer, when you're asking those questions, falls anywhere below an 8, 9, or 10, I would literally give you permission, if you're willing to do it, walk away. You're going to want commitment from that side of it as much as a commitment from your side of it. I'll get to another story with that in just a moment. So to finish this one out with our agent on the weekend on Sunday, she's a great agent, by the way, phenomenal agent. So she's feeling bad. I go, what's your commitment to learning, getting better? She goes, I want to get better. I said, then use every single example as that, learning lessons, learning opportunity. So playing this out, because this may happen to you. If it's not a washer and dryer, it's going to be something different. Okay. And I'm going to tell you a story. Like I'm right there with you because I've done this. What should she do next? The room, Rick.
I think that she should purchase a washer and dryer for her clients because her current net money is going to be down, but her future net money will go up as a result of her accepting responsibility for an error.
Love it. Perfect. Anybody else? Okay, let's just go with that. I love what Rick said. He nailed it. But now she's going to make a purchase. What would you do next if you're in her shoes? Because trust me, I think about net money all the time. And I literally, so this is the part where now we're strategizing, the two of us. So what would you do?
Put a,
Get the buyers involved.
You gotta at least be comparable to what was there,
yeah.
you know?
Right.
Or you're in big trouble.
Right.
And then, I mean, that was obviously a used washer and dryer.
Yes.
There's opportunity to go get something on sale or go to the Best Buy warehouse and, as long as you're getting them something brand new that's equal or better, hopefully they can be more than happy with that.
Right. Right. Okay. I love the answers and I love getting the buyer involved. And I love that because again, ultimately it's going to be the buyer's walking. Correct? Okay. Now I'm kind of, I don't want to use the word cheap. I feel like I'm really good with my net money. As I said to her, how old is the washer and dryer, to Rick's point? She said, I know it's at least a year and a half. It might be 2 years old. That's what the seller said. My next question to her was, and I'm curious for the room, I think the seller was coached a little bit, meaning that is it for the fact the seller receiving this purchase agreement from a licensed agent, but the seller was coached to the point of like saying, oh, after they're all done, we're going to take the washer and dryer. Like they somehow knew about it, right? So I would first price out washer and dryers that my buyer wants. Price them out. And then second, and this is what I told her, I'm going to call the seller. I'm going to call the seller and say, what do you want for them? Because when I priced out what are washer and dryers going for? Anybody know, packaged together? What's that? A lot?
Grand.
12 grand?
A couple grand.
Okay. Okay, good. I was gonna say 5 grand. I was like, are they going to 12?
It pulls the laundry out and then it's fresh spring water.
So the really cool thing about this call, our agent was like, thank you. And I said, you did it. She did it from the standpoint of just talking it through. But she goes, thank you. I didn't realize that you're so focused on my money. I go, I've been in your shoes. I know how hard you work. I get crazy know how hard you work. And so again, I haven't heard the final score yet, if you will, but she was going to talk to the sellers because I said, let's say it's 5,000 or 3,500, but the sellers might say, I'll take 2,000. And then they'll leave them there and then the buyer's okay with it. So there you can see again, commitment level, net money. What's the thing that any of you have done? This is when we talk about bucket fills. What's something that you've done to get the transaction to close that affected your net money? Have any of you ever bought an appliance? I have. Yes.
Carpet.
Yes.
You doing wood floors?
Yes. Absolutely.
I had at a final walkthrough at a cabin, they left this huge metal gargantuan thing that would have been money to haul away.
Yeah.
When I called the agent, he was like, I can't believe you're even asking me to do something about this. He's like, no one does this on final walkthrough. I'm like, that's what a final walkthrough is for. They wouldn't budge. And I did not want to leave that for my buyers, so I paid for it.
Okay, good for you. Now, this is a couple of things, and I really appreciate this here right now, what we're doing. Because some of you that are hearing, this is going to help you out moving forward in the weeks to come, in our busy season. But what you just did, and Rick said it earlier, which I love, you're thinking net money for your buyers and not having to deal with this, right? And that's so important because when we're running our businesses, so much of our businesses, not only are the transaction we're in, but the future opportunities that we have. And that's why I say we're always doing lead generation. And that move you made, fantastic move. I once actually, and I'm not a contractor, but I once actually did a sidewalk in the front of the house because I couldn't negotiate it with the seller, my buyer, and I'm out there pouring cement to actually get a deal done. So there's different things that we do. Okay. Questions, comments yet? Okay. I'm going to go to another one. So again, kind of talking about net money commitment. And again, going back to commitment, and going back to my wife's 5 bottles when that qualifying question came up, she goes, I said, what do you mean by commitment? She goes, commitment is actually all of them. I want to know, and I want to be with someone that actually committed to the kids, committed to faith, committed to the money. How is it earned? How is it spent? All of those things. I think commitment in our business and how we show up is so important. Like, again, how we're attracting clients and whether or not you say, yep, not going to work anymore. Have any of you let a client go and said, I can't work with you anymore? Yeah. It's like the best feeling in the world. Even when you're like, I could really use that business and use that commission. Best feeling in the world. I'll never forget the last client that I let go. I couldn't work with him because how he spoke to his wife. He sat beside, this was at a time, no one drives clients around anymore, do they? No. This was at a time when we did. He sat next to me, and how he talked to his wife in my back seat, I would look at her and just like see how she was feeling and receiving. And I'll never forget driving him back to the hotel, and he goes, "What are we doing?" I go, "Well, we're done because I'm not working with you anymore." And then again, she really thanked me later. I ended up getting a referral because she's like, "Do you think someone else would work?" And I go, I don't want to hear him ever talk to you like that again. So again, net money, what's your commitment? Find out your level of where you're at, and that's how you kind of run with it. Okay? This one just came up 2 weeks ago. This may have happened to you, or it will happen to you in the future. And so again, another agent. This one's probably a $20,000 commission. The agent tells me at the time what we're talking about, "Matt, I need this commission. My business needs this commission." So what's happening is they're trying to extend the inspection time frame, and no response from the seller. She's representing the buyer. She's got a $20,000 commission on the line for her business, representing the buyer. Seller's not willing to extend the inspection time frame. How many of you know what knob and tube is? Okay, is it good? See, so we know that. So basically, that's what's discovered during said inspection. Now they need to actually get some contractors out, people out to actually really address what we're dealing with. Seller's not responding to extend inspection time frame. So inspection, just for purposes of what we're doing, let's say it's done tomorrow at midnight. They don't have enough time to get somebody in there. So what is she going to do at this point? She's representing the buyer. What are her options? She wants to extend, seller's not responding. What's the other options?
Cancel.
Thank you. Who said it? Anna? Thank you. So if you haven't done this yet, this is pretty common. She's like, "I'm sending a cancellation along with an extension together." Now I've seen some nods saying, "Yep, we've done this." Okay. So here's what happens. She sends a cancellation, and we'll just play with dates for a minute. What is today? The 3/31? 3/31?
Yeah.
We send it today, 3/31. They signed the extension. Now we're just playing with dates because this happened a little while ago, but for dates purposes, what I'm talking about. They signed an extension on inspection again. So now we're to, let's say, April 10th. We're just using the days. So just picture 10 days. Now we're in a situation where they're negotiating and they're going back and forth. This is where net money comes in. $20,000 commission, $5,000 scenario where they're apart. Buyers don't want to move, sellers don't want to move. Have you all been there before? This is why, again, you're sitting and you're looking at your net money. Might it be a good business decision? Maybe. So all of a sudden, agent doesn't do anything. They go like this, they're trying to work it out. And then like a magician, the listing agent sends over the signed cancellation from 10 days ago. Sends it over, the buyer's agent, is the deal done? Exactly. So now what we're doing here, this is the reason we're talking about, this is kind of what you're going to get from me, because my goal is to really create situations so we're going through some things like, okay, for 10 days ago, there was a cancellation sent over with an extension. Seller chooses at that point to extend and then to extend again. Now they're at a point where they're right here. They're not reaching agreement. So then seller just says, "I'm out and I'm done." Sends over the cancellation by signing it 10 days later from the buyer's signature. My question to all of you, are we canceled?
No.
Who's saying no? Who's saying no with the conviction?
So why do you sign an extension? Now you can't go back in time and sign a cancellation.
So, great job, Wendy. Great job, room. So you remember when I said at the start, I said, what's the intention? So in this scenario, ultimately, for the agent, the buyer ended up canceling. Not the seller, the buyer ended up canceling, seller eventually signed. But what is the intention? The intention was, the cancellation was there 10 days ago, But then there was a signed extension and a signed extension again. There was clearly intention for parties to work together. That removes cancellation. But now, kind of a jerk move from listing agent to sign this one at this point. So the learning lesson, when I said when we're doing this, I said to her, I said, what's the learning lesson? What's your learning opportunity? She goes, oh my gosh. And she brainstormed with a few other people too. So sometimes you can brainstorm with me. You might brainstorm with actually other colleagues in the room. She brainstormed with 3 people and she said, I'm putting a time limit on any amount of my cancellation. I'm putting a 24-hour time limit on my cancellation that I'm sending over, and I'm sending over the extension. Now, again, I'm going to ask the room, I'm going to ask all of you, what do you all think of time limits when actually you see them on a purchase agreement?
I don't like that.
Given that, I'm not a fan of them unless it's actually clearly communicated between all parties with the intention and understanding why there is a time limit. But you may actually get a seller who's actually like, maybe they're on spring break, maybe they're gone, maybe, but maybe that time limit clearly won't work. And so now the time limit looks more like it's an aggressive ploy or something like that. But in this scenario with actually the cancellation, a time limit on cancellation, what do you think of that?
Is the time limit listed in the document itself, or is it just listed on the email when it's sent over?
Yeah, great, Maureen. So again, that was part of the conversation. And where would you put it?
Well, for it to be legal and valid, it would need to be in the document.
Exactly. That's where I would put it too. So again, a lot of compliance is clear and concise. Are we communicating clearly? And are we short and concise? And does it make sense? The question that you really want to ask yourself all the time, whether you're representing buyers or sellers, would the consumer like to know, does the consumer understand? So again, putting it right on the document, this cancellation request is, written here for the, the property, date, and this cancellation request is whatever the terms we want to use, words, valid for 24 hours, expires, tomorrow at this point. And on this note, this is just a pet peeve of mine. I'm trying to get Forms Committee to change the 11:59 p.m. thing because I think it's crap. I don't like it. So you can change your inspection timeframes to 6 o'clock if you want. You can change any of your timeframes to whatever you want as long as parties agree. Because the fact of the matter, any of us working at 11 o'clock at night, no one's thinking clearly. No one's actually really truly wanting to negotiate and do those things that late. I just think you're just trying to close out the day. But close out the day when you want to close it out. Okay. Make sense? Good? So that was something, I hadn't heard that on the cancellation. So I thought that was valid. And again, definitely put it on the cancellation, but make sure parties understand. What's the intention of what she was trying to do? Move forward, get a response, have the sellers do something. So this is where, again, now, have you ever encountered a listing agent who's just not responding? What do you do next there? I love it when I get the call, Matt, what should I do? I said, have you contacted them multiple times? What should I do? Have you contacted their broker? Trust me, I don't mind when I get the call that if someone's calling me about one of you saying they just haven't heard from you. And now again, it might be you're on spring break, but did you set up anybody else here to cover things while you were gone? Does anybody have something that you have that you want me to talk about? I'll keep going. Is this good? Helpful? Okay. See, you thought we were going to talk about sex. No way. Not going to do it. Okay. Get my cheaters up for this one. All right. Okay. I'm going to go. Okay. This one's kind of going on right now, but I want to see, and we'll get to the point where we'll do this, but I just want to spend a little bit of time on this one. Retainer fee. On your listing agreement, you actually do it on your buyer agreement too, on the contract itself. Right above, when we talk commission, right above it is the paragraph where it talks about retainer fee. Have any of you ever charged a retainer fee? I would love it sometime this year if one of you actually does, and you actually do. And the reason why I say this is I'm going back to this one again. Because right now, we're in a situation, which is, it's okay, but it's our listing and our seller no longer wants to work with our listing agent. And when I say our listing within the brokerage, right? Seller no longer wants to work with the listing agent. And sometimes consumers will do this and they'll run and they'll go talk to anybody else and say, I don't like what's happening with my listing agent right now. I don't want to work with them anymore. And so they'll go talk to someone else. And then that other person, so if you haven't experienced this yet, you will, because someone's going to come talk to you and say, I want to work with you. And then our question is what? Are you under contract with anybody? And if they say yes, we'd say, well, you have to resolve that first. I'm going to kind of speak to actually how we best do that here in a moment. But the scenario we have right now, the seller doesn't want to do it. Listing agent in our brokerage did not do a retainer fee. But now they're seeing that actually I'm going to be out of this because the seller no longer wants to work with you. How easy is it to work with someone that literally doesn't want to work with you? It's not easy. Trust me. And I'm glad I wasn't on Match.com or some of those things because I hear these things. But again, it's not honestly, you don't want to date someone that literally doesn't want to be with you. And Heather clearly made it really positive, like who she wanted to be with, like they could handle these topics. I will tell you, by the way, I was in a men's group at that time in my life. Like every Monday night, I went to a men's group for 2 hours talking through just life scenarios, how I could be a better guy, how I could understand what's going on. Most of the men in that group said, run from this girl, run from the hills, like go. She's crazy. She's like, literally run. The lead guy of the men's group, his name's Bob, super wonderful guy. And they said, Bob, what do you think? And he goes, what do you think, Matt? I go, I know what you're doing, Bob. What do you think? And he eventually said, he goes, I think you're talking to a woman who's pretty clear and concise of what she wants. And I said, I thought that was pretty the same thing. I said, I want to learn more. And then some of you have heard me say this before. So I don't want to water ski with this person, and I don't want to snorkel with this person. I want to scuba dive with this person. I got to go deep on this. I got to get to the point where I really truly understand what she meant by those 5 things, which is similar to what we're going to go with this scenario. So our agent doesn't have retainer fee in their contract, but now they're about ready to be kicked to the curb because the seller doesn't want to work with them anymore. What does our agent say or think about at this point? How many of you have hired photography photos? How much do they cost? How much do they cost? 500?
200.
Yeah, probably a minimum right now. Any other preparatory work that you might have done? So our agent is literally thinking about, hold it, I don't want to sign this cancellation to let this person completely off the hook. What's my net money look like? So at the moment, as we speak, as we all sit here, there's a little bit of negotiation going on back and forth between seller and agent has the right to actually ask for, if you want early release from your contract, I want to be made whole, meaning just cover my expenses. You can still do this. It's like creating an addendum, negotiating. You can still do it even though you didn't put a retainer fee in there. Now, in this scenario, I think the contract ends mid-April or something like that. The seller may just choose to just sit tight and wait till it ends and it expires and then they're done. So in this scenario, I want you to encourage you to think about what would you put in there for a retainer fee? A dollar amount. $200. $200. Thank you, Jackie. I'm gonna go a lot higher than that. Okay. At least 1,000.
Wow.
Okay.
Do you have to put a dollar amount or can you type something out?
Either.
Could you say like the retainer fee is, $1,000 plus any expenses incurred type of a thing?
Yeah, you could spell it out to actually kind of get to the point where, and again, what that might be. That's where, again, I love the 200, but that's not high enough. So again, I'm going to probably settle between $1,500 and $2,500 in that ballpark because I love 5,000. But the thing about this too is this is where your value comes in. This is where, again, when I think of like, how do I show up for my sellers and my buyers? Like, what do I bring to the table? And honestly, what I bring to the table is when shit goes down and it's not fun. That's where I show up and I'm actually really pretty good. And similar to Maureen, was it you that had the stuff left over after your final walkthrough?
Yeah.
Okay. This final walkthrough story for me. You're getting to know too much about me. You probably don't need to know this, but my wife is also the gal who did the 5 things. She goes, honey, you can be a nice dick. At times, you know, you're coming across like professional, but you got it in you to just do some zingers. And I had a final walkthrough once. We go through first time buyers. We're in Southwest Minneapolis. Lovely home. We open the garage, final walkthrough, and this garage is just full. The seller was like a medical salesperson. There is like one half of the stalls is completely full with boxes of medical things, and the other half is just junk. That was all thrown into the garage to make the house look good. My buyers are sitting here going, what do we do? And the seller happened to be home. So we're doing our final walkthrough. And another thing my wife says, I am a big guy, so that helps in some scenarios. In this scenario, probably helped. So the seller comes out and he's like, I'm like, and this isn't going to go. And the seller can see that I'm on my phone. And I'm calling the listing agent. I said, we got a problem. We're closing tomorrow morning, and this garage is full of just SHIT. Your seller's got to take care of it. You got to take care of it. Somebody's got to take care of it. Seller comes out, and he's like, who are you talking to? And I literally look at my buyers, first time buyers, right? And this is the reason why I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, I got this. I go, why don't you two go to the car? Because he's going to yell at me. And I'm okay with that. But I want you two to go to the car because we're going to closing tomorrow. And all this crap's going to be out of here. And so he's yelling at me, telling me all these different things. And I just said, you know what? You do what you got to do. This is between now your agent and your brokerage. If someone's going to get over, I don't care who cleans this up. This is going to be clean come tomorrow morning at 11. So when we come back tomorrow morning at 11 after the closing, garage is spick and span clean. The only thing we had to deal with was the two garbage bins were just full of stuff. And I said to my buyers, are you okay taking care of that? Or you want me to take care of it? And they were giving me hugs. She was giving me a hug to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, these are some, when I always say, don't lower your commission because you're going to have that scenario pop up. And your value shows up and even goes up even higher when actually how well you show up. And that's one of the things I love most. One of the things that, going back to Kamie's questions that she had for me, I think it was like 3 sentences that describe you in real estate. And I said, do they like you? Do they trust you? Do they respect you? That's it for me. And that's my goal. And my goal is actually to have lifelong clients, but actually they're going to like me. They're going to trust me how I do it, but they're going to respect me because I'm really, truly representing them, supporting them, and having their back. So going back to real quick, when you get this is what happens. You get the call, somebody, consumer, hey, I heard about you. I want to work with you. And I just like, and then are you under contract? Yes, I'm under contract, but I want to work with you. I just want to be done. And so what you got to do, this is the protocol. What you got to do is you say, you know what? You can have a meeting with this person. You can actually show them your whole listing presentation if it's a seller, but you need to tell them, you cannot advise them. You cannot tell them how to get out of their contract. You just have to say to them, you need to speak to the party, the agent that you're under contract with, the agent or the broker. You need to resolve that before I can actually truly work with you. But if you want to hear, and they say, but I want to see what you do. I can actually give my presentation. I just can't coach them on how to get out of it. So, okay, we're just about 11. Any questions from the room? I got one, Rick.
This happens a lot where I would imagine with everybody here that somebody says, hey, I don't want to work with my realtor anymore and I got a 6-month contract and we're 4 months into it. Can we recommend that they do talk to somebody that we work with, like an attorney that knows what to do? Because we got a real estate attorney that knows what to say, as far as the process, and that's not us. So can we just refer that person, say, you know what, I can't advise you. It's something between you, but I can provide you a contact information for someone you can call and ask questions about how to best try to get out of the existing contract. Does that work? Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's not you advising them how to do it, but you can certainly say, talk to the party you're under contract with. You may want to talk to an attorney. You may want to, but you got to address that.
Can I say, talk to Sherry Welly? I'll tell you, not another realtor in the office or the E9 office. How about the Maple Grove office? Not Grove. Okay.
So you don't want to show how you're like kind of trying to get them out of it. That's on them. Okay.
Can they talk to the association?
Can they talk to the association, meaning like our Minnesota Association? Why would they talk to them? I love that. I love where you're going. And they,
Can they advise?
they're not going to advise so much as they're just going to kind of, and I thought might be where you're going is because sometimes consumers are going to go there to actually file a complaint against you. That's what they're going to do there. But they could go there and kind of seek some advisement, that type of thing. They may not necessarily share. They're probably going to share. Why don't you just actually talk to whomever you're under contract with and their broker? But they could go that. But that's just, I love where Elko is going. When someone's not happy with what you're doing, they're going to go to the Department of Commerce or they're going to go to the association. Those are the two things going on. And we'll close with this today. I had another one, but this one will just be helpful because again, net money. When we have these things going on, do any of you have an attorney kind of in your back pocket ready to go? And if you do, wonderful. If you don't, again, in your business, you might be starting to think, I might want to go there. Sometimes people are calling me and they say, Matt, how about our office attorney? Our office attorney, just so you all know, Dave McGee is his name. He's $4.25 an hour. That's his billing rate. He doesn't want to help your consumer, just so you know. So if you're going to call me and say, Matt, do you have an attorney recommendation? I will tell you, similar to what Rick was saying just a moment ago, get your attorney recommendation from one of you, from your team. Because Dave has also told me, Matt, don't give out attorney recommendations for somebody that if it doesn't work out well, they don't want to come back to us in that regard. So myself and Dave McGee, we're prepared only to support and back any of you. But if a consumer needs some assistance attorney-wise, that's where kind of collaborate with one another, see about who you can get an attorney for, but also know what their billing rate is. Because Jake, myself, I mean, I love Dave McGee, but I will guarantee you, Dave McGee, yeah, it's $4.25 an hour. He bills in 15 minutes. I think he bills in 5-minute cycles. Like there's sometimes I don't even want to email him because I'm like, there's $100. I don't want to call him because and sometimes I call him and say, Dave, I only need 2 minutes of your time. That's it. I'm trying to keep the billing to 10 minutes. And he knows what I'm doing. But to Rick's point again, that's where again, as far as our team and our commitment, and again, my commitment to all of you is I may not know the answer you're calling or the answer to the question you're calling me with. But my commitment 10-wise to you is I'm going to work with you to get an answer. Now, again, some of you may know this, some of you may not know this. Does anybody have their Wisconsin license in here that's in this room? There's not a lot about Wisconsin real estate that I like, but one of the things I do like is everybody in Wisconsin as part of the association, they have access to the attorneys. The only person calling the attorney on your behalf here is the broker. The attorney at the association that's not going to charge you. Their most common response to the question is, well, it depends. Most common response, because they're literally like, well, we don't want to get too involved, but this maybe it depends, or maybe it depends this. But again, you want to get to the point where what do you need to know and where are you going to learn it? And so again, showing up today, I love it. Showing up on a spring break type week. I don't mind if you call me. I don't mind if you have a question. I don't mind if you call and you want to strategize something. I don't mind. I want to get to know many of you better and how I can help you. Because my commitment literally is I want you all to get more net money. Because I know how hard this is, but I also know how rewarding it is. Crazy, awesome lifestyle. But again, and I always say this to people, and none of you raise your hands, please. But when I'm in small groups, I oftentimes say, when's your next closing? When's your next closing? When's your next closing? When's your next closing? And if you don't have one scheduled, I'm like, literally, like, what are you doing today that's actually going to get one scheduled on your book? Now, when I first got into real estate, my goal was 24 transactions in my first year. I was used to getting paid every 2 weeks, which meant 2 paychecks a month. So then I learned, like, I want to get paid at closing, but I'm like, I better have 24 of them because I want 24 checks. Now I see people have 7 closings in a month and 10 closings in a month. And I'm just like, that's the reason why we're doing this. But I also see agents all day long. They don't have any closings for 6 months. And right now, the market says, people say, Matt, what's up with the market? Well, I have agents that are just so crazy busy and there are multiples and they're just swamped. And agents just going, I'm looking at getting a second job because I have no business. And I was like, what are you doing to create more net money for yourself? And if you're not calling anybody, that's it. All right, I think we're just after 11. I don't want to take up any more time. If you have any other questions afterwards, feel free. I'll stick around for a little bit. Otherwise, call me when you need me. and I'll be happy to support you. Cool? Enjoy the rest of your week.
You get one clap.